All right. We are recording, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jen. So hi, everyone. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to join us. My name is Kristen Sheridan. I'm the head of education and information services at Alumni Medical Library and also the library liaison to the School of Public Health. So basically, that just means I'm your first contact at the library, happy to help with finding resources, coming up with keywords and search terms and things for your research, as well as just pointing out and showing you how to use library materials and resources. So today I'm going to take a couple of moments just to show you our library website. We're going to look at the library catalog. There's a lovely resource guide that we've put together over the past few years. We've kind of added a lot of things as they've become relevant. So that is called the Public Health Portal, as well as the Public Health Writing Resource Center that with luck, luckily, Jen has been very instrumental in helping put those resources together. And then after that, we are going to do a demo in PubMed of how to use PubMed to kind of the best of its abilities there. Um, all right, so without further ado, I'm going to start by sharing my screen here and go on over to, oh, Jen, would I be able to share my screen? There we go. Perfect. All right, so what I would like you all, if just following along, but it's really good practice to get into is starting at our library website. So if I go to Google, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, whatever you like, and type in Alumni Medical Library, our medical library website is going to be this first option right here. So if there's anything that you do today, I would recommend you bookmark this page. So there's many reasons for that. As you can see, we have some links to popular databases. We also have this BU Library Search, which is the library catalog here at Boston University. And we also have some curated resources for students, as well as some consultation forms and things that you can fill out to get in touch with us. And I'll point all of those out in just a moment. But on our library homepage, you can see we have some sliding announcements. So these are just going to be, things that are happening at the library, new resources, library closings, like we were just closed for Labor Day weekend. So any kind of event, announcement, something like that. Definitely good to take a look and see what's new and what's happening at the library. We also do have library hours listed. So Monday through Friday, we're open 7:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then over the weekend, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you can click this at any time and it will give you any fall or holiday hours as well. So just something, that question comes up a lot, especially with new students that are coming into the library space. They want to know what hours we're open. Um, so I definitely encourage you to explore this page and reach out if you have any questions. We have a couple places that you can ask us questions to and get in touch with us. So the first one is up here in this top right corner, Ask a Librarian. So if you click on that link, it'll bring you to the couple ways you can get in touch with us. So you can email us, you can give us a call, or if you'd like, you can click this reference request link right here. And what this will do is it'll bring you to a form that you can give us more information about when you're free and what your research question or what you need assistance with. This can be really helpful if I know you're all very, very busy. It's the start of the semester. You may only have an hour or two available during the week. This is a great place to come and let us know, I'm only free Tuesday at 3 p.m., something like that. We can work amongst our staff to find who's free to meet with you at that time. But it's really helpful for us to know, what's your topic? What are you working on? So we can prepare a couple of resources and things we want to show you to spend our time most wisely. So I'm just going to go back to our library homepage. And anytime you want to go back to the homepage, you can click our logo right up there in the top left. And so what I want to show you now is the library catalog. So I mentioned it's here underneath this Find Books. It's this BU Library Search link right here. So if we give this a click, this is going to bring us over to the library catalog where you can search for any material here, books, articles, journals, databases, visuals, media, anything like that. And this resource also will capture anything from across BU. So here on the medical campus, as well as on the Charles River campus. We share a lot of resources with the libraries across town. And so this is one way that you can find resources that, whether it's an ebook or something, or a physical book or item that you want to send over here, you can definitely make that happen. So just to do a quick search, later on, we're going to be doing a search in PubMed on smoking and tobacco smoking. So sometimes if you're looking for maybe just some general background information, you might want to look at a textbook. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in tobacco smoking here. And as we can see with this particular search, we do get a lot of results, but that's okay because again, the topic we're looking at is pretty broad. So there's a few things that you can do to really bring this set of results down. You can come over to these filters and you can see, okay, maybe you're looking for something online. You can click available online. Maybe you want to look for something physical like a textbook. You can click available in library and that will kind of show you what's available as a physical resource. You can also scroll down to material type. So this might be a good place to start. Maybe you're looking for a book or ebook. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then I'm going to click apply filter. So now I've drastically cut that set of results down. 675 textbooks is still a lot to look through. So a couple things you can do at this point. You can scroll through this first page, see kind of those top hits. Let's say this particular book looks kind of interesting. If we see where it says online access available, you can click on that and it'll bring you to the place that you can access that ebook. So if we scroll down a little bit, it'll give you the details of that title. And then if you click this where it says ProQuest ebook Central, it will pop into a new window and show you the full ebook. So we have a lot of different ebook packages from different vendors. This one is from ProQuest. So what's great about this particular book is that you can read it online in your browser, or you can download the book chapter by chapter or the full book, really, which is really nice. So depending on the type of material that it is and the vendor, they may have specific rules on what you can download and what you can borrow, but they'll let you know. For instance, this particular book, we have unlimited access to this book. There could be other books where you may only be able to download 5 chapters or something like that, but they should be pretty transparent in letting you know that. So I'm going to go back to the library catalog, and since this opened in a new window, I can just exit that. And I just want to show you a couple other quick things before we move on. If we scroll down a little bit more, I want to see if I can find, so this book. See up here where it says 2 versions of this book or this record exist? If we click on this will show us the 2 different editions. So in this case, there's a revised edition. We can see on the year that it was updated in 2009. This particular book is across town at the Party Management Library. So one thing that you could do if, for instance, you were interested in checking out this book, you could hop on the BU shuttle and you could go over and pick it up at the Party Library. Or what you could do is I'm going to actually open up a new tab for our website. And I'm going to go to where it says ILL order articles. So ILL stands for Interlibrary Loan, and Interlibrary Loan is a really wonderful resource we have at the medical library and at BU. And it allows us to borrow articles, books, book chapters, and things like that from libraries when there's a resource that we don't have here at BU. The other thing you can do is if you're too busy to head over to Charles River campus and pick this book up, if you go to this ILL request form, we ask you for your contact information so we know where to send the item or who to contact when it comes in. We'll select School of Public Health. We'll select student, or if you're faculty or staff, you can select that as well. And we'll select entire book. So in this case, I'd really like to read this book, but I just don't have time to go across town to pick it up. So we just ask you put in all the relevant information that you can. And here in these additional notes, you could say, I would love to, I'm on the medical campus. I'd love to pick this book up on the medical campus. So what we can do is the party library can send it over to us and you can pick it up here at our circulation desk. So this is another use of this form that I think is really wonderful. And I like to highlight because there's oftentimes you may want to get a book from across town or something like that. They're also able to scan chapters for you too. So if you had a specific chapter you wanted to read, they can do that for you as well. Okay, so now that I've covered like a couple basic things at the library, now I want to jump into our public health portal. So again, that library homepage, I'm going to go to subjects up here and down here to A to Z resource guides. So another reason that is we really recommend bookmarking our library page and starting here is that, yes, we do share a lot of resources with BU libraries as a whole, but these pages in particular were curated for your use by medical librarians. So we know more of the resources you're going to be looking to use. We've gotten feedback from faculty and staff on, what types of materials you need for your programs and things like that. So as you can see here, we have 47 guides. There's a couple things we can do. We can scroll through A to Z and see kind of by alphabetical order what we have. We can also look by subject. So if you select subject, we have, allied health, we have some exam prep, things like that. And if we scroll down to, we have public health and public health topics. So if we select public health, we can see the portal I just mentioned, the Writing Resource Center that we'll take a look at. And then with public health topics too, we do have, epi and biostats, and this is a little bit repetitive. It has most of the same guides. So you can do that, which is another really great way to kind of see what we have. And so if we scroll down, another one I like to point out, and we'll look at a little more in depth next week when Jen and I talk more about public health writing, but this citation information guide is really helpful. It looks at a couple different citation styles and also citation management tools like Zotero and Mendeley that you can use to help organize your citations and your references when you're working on projects. So if we scroll down, I'm going to go to this public health portal right here. So the public health portal is one of our resource guides that we created to be somewhat of a one-stop shop for you. A lot of these resources were all out on different pages, and it was kind of hard to navigate or guide students to finding them because they were really all over. So what we've done is we've created these portals now for each school, which is really great. But if we look on this homepage, this library, a BU library search was the catalog we just looked at. Interlibrary loan, which was a form from the website that we also just looked at. Access and borrowing information, study space. So this has a little more information about where the library is located. I probably should have started there. We're in the instructional building or the L building on campus, and we're on the 12th and 13th floor. So the 12th floor is where a majority of our staff and also all of our textbooks and things are. We also have our public computers on this floor as well. And then the 13th floor is our silent study floor that has some bookable study rooms. So this information on this page will let you know right here, this medical library space availability. And this is where you can book a study room. So we have a few different spaces. We have rooms for individuals for one person. And then we also have group study rooms that fit up to 6 people. So these can be really wonderful if you're looking to find a space to work on a group project or something like that. You can definitely book these spaces, I believe 1 week in advance. And then lastly, that research services, that Ask a Librarian page that I showed you on our homepage on the website, you can reach out to us here. You can also email me. That's me right there. You can email me here as well. My email is attached to that button. So now the bulk of this guide is going to be in these other pages here. So this find sources page. This is going to be really, really helpful to you because it's going to show you some of those kind of top places you can go to find information. So we've broken it into databases. So you can see PubMed right here at the top, as well as a few other databases that we tend to look at with public health students to find, what's out there in the public health research landscape and when we're doing lit reviews and whatnot. I'm also really excited about these two databases right here. We just got them over the summer, so they're pretty new. This Global Think Tanks and the Public Health and Social Care. These two databases come from a company called Coherent Digital that has a policy commons. And so both of these are modules within that policy commons, and they include a ton of gray literature, white papers, policy documents, all of these types of materials that can be difficult to find if you're just looking through Google. So they have health statistics, they have guidelines, best practices, all of that good stuff in these databases. So I'm really, really looking forward to using these more and showing students like the power of Gray Lit. So another thing is books, journals, health statistics as well. So you can scroll through here, and I really encourage you to, play around on this page and see what resources we have here. I know statistics and data sets and things like that are oftentimes important to find, and recommended websites, and then also some more of those public health topic subject guides we have here as well. The public health writing tab we'll go into in a little more depth next week, but it is here. It does have that citation information, copyright and plagiarism, the Writing Resource Center. This also links out to the Writing Resource Center as well. So before we go there, I'm just going to show you these other pages really quick. The videos and tutorials. So again, we're recording today's session, and I'm hoping to update this and replace it because this is from 2022, 2 years ago now. But again, really a lot of the same information. But since our portal has changed over the past 2 years, it'll be great to just have an updated video for you all. And what's nice about having these recordings available is, one, for students who couldn't make it today, they can go back and watch what we covered. But for you in attendance today, if once we get to PubMed, you're thinking, wait, how did I do that? What should I search? How did Kristen do that? You can go in and kind of scroll along the bottom, and you can find that particular part when we get to PubMed and just look at that section. So that's what the power of a recording, right? There's also a recording of the workshop that Jen and I will be doing next week, also from 2022. So I'm sure there's been some changes and updates since we last recorded this. But again, still a lot of the content is still the same. It just might be on a different web page or something like that. We also have some course reserves. So if you have any textbooks or readings or things from your faculty members that are on course reserve, you can check that page out. And then kind of fun, this is a newer page. We did have some liaison videos. So this is just a little bit more about me. And I'm sure you'll probably be pretty sick of my face in the next couple of weeks because you'll be seeing me a lot. But there's just a little more information there. So before we jump into the PubMed, I'm going to just pop into this Writing Resource Center. Again, we're going to spend more time on this next week, but I just want to show you really quick some of the resources here, and really encourage you to take a look, browse through this, and then next week when you come and join us on Wednesday, you'll feel prepared and know where to find all of these resources. But again, Jen has a public health blog, which is full of such valuable information when it comes to public health writing. So if you click this, we've compiled some blog posts from the blog that again were harder to find at one point because it was in a chronological order. So you had to scroll to find that particular blog post. But now we have them all kind of compiled here. Some other, using and citing sources, plagiarism. Again, those videos and tutorials are here as well. And on top of that, a few other ones from Jen and other SPH faculty. And then on-campus writing resources, there's peer coaches here that are here to help with your writing process, and you can make appointments with them to go over your assignments. So really a great resource to use if you're here on campus. So I'm seeing there's some chats in here, so I'm going to take a quick look to see if I can answer any of these questions. I think
Oh, you've answered them
Katie
all
is
so
the
far.
best. Katie is in there answering your questions. Yes, thank you. Okay, perfect. Yes, access to the recording. Oh, thank you, Katie. That's great. All right, so if anyone has any, I'll, kind of open it up for a few questions now, if anyone has questions before we move into PubMed. But if not, I will jump into using PubMed. Okay, I'm going to take that silence as I can't wait to learn more about PubMed. So again, public health portal. I'm going to go to this first link here in our database list, which is PubMed. So another reason that we really recommend starting on our library website or the public health portal is because this PubMed link right here is going to have what's called an easy proxy. So I'll highlight it. It's probably teeny tiny up there for you in the URL, but it says easyproxy.bu.edu. So all that this means is that your computer, when you are off campus, you're remote, you're home, if you haven't discovered Flower Bakery, I definitely recommend going up to Washington and getting something at Flower. But if you're up at Flower and you want to, access library materials, you can come through our website and be on that easy proxy. It really just tricks your computer into thinking you're in our IP range, so you have access to library materials. So now that we're at PubMed, I'm going to start my search here today, just like I would a Google search. So the question that we're going to look at today is, who is most affected by smoking in Indonesia? And what are some of the long-term health outcomes? So that's typical kind of a question that you might start with in your public health journey, like thinking of a disease or something in a population and looking to see maybe some health outcomes. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in smoking and Indonesia. Again, pretty simple, pretty easy search. And when we look at these search results, they're not bad. We can see smoking and Indonesia are highlighted in a lot of these titles and a lot of these abstracts. But I want to show you what PubMed actually searched for. So PubMed is a quirky database. Sometimes they search for keywords and things that you didn't intend for them to search for. So if we click this advanced search, this will bring us to the last 8 hours worth of our searching. So that's another great thing about PubMed is it will keep your search history for you. So if you're in here doing some research, working on a project, it'll keep that search history here for you. I do recommend having a Word document or something else open so that you can paste some of those searches, just so you don't lose any of the progress that you've made. But if we look here underneath this details, there's this little triangle here. If we click that, it will expand that search and show us what PubMed actually searched for. So we can see PubMed searched for smoke, which, smoke could be like wildfire smoke or, smoke from a gas stove or, something like that. So not exactly the type of smoking that we're looking for. They also search for smoke space S, which was not something that I typed into the search bar. Smoked, all of these things, even Indonesia space S. PubMed loves to do this, and I really don't know why it does this. It does this with many different words and key, search terms in PubMed. So another thing I want to point out are these brackets after the search. So right here is the mesh term bracket. So mesh term is the controlled vocabulary that PubMed uses in the database. Every article that comes into PubMed is indexed with mesh terms, and we're going to jump into that in just a moment. But I want to show you in the search kind of where that shows up. It also has so any bracket after a search, it's just telling you where it is searching for that term. So in this case, this all fields, that's searching for Indonesia in every field. So the fields are going to be the author, the title, maybe the journal or publication, maybe the country of publication. So it's really not exactly what we're looking for. Could just bring things out of scope. So I'm going to show you a way that you can really pinpoint the search terms that you want to use and refine this search so that PubMed is bringing in results that are going to be relevant for you. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to click that PubMed logo again on the right-hand side, and this will just bring us back to that home page. And this is where we're going to jump into the MESH database. So scrolling down, there's a little globe here with a mouse, explore, and then we're going to click that link that says MESH database. So this is going to bring us over to the MESH database, which, like I mentioned, is the thesaurus of controlled vocabulary. So PubMed uses these controlled vocabulary terms to help make PubMed like more searchable and also help you find the accurate and relevant search terms that you're looking for. I like to think of MESH terms as almost a tag. Every article that comes in and is indexed in PubMed is indexed with these terms. So think of it almost as like the main topic of the paper. Hopefully, if there's a MESH term that applies, it will be indexed on the paper. So in this case, I'm going to take those two search terms that I had used before, which were smoking and Indonesia, and I'm going to do a search looking for one, then the other, and then I'm going to add them together. So we'll start by just looking at smoking. So I'm going to type smoking into the MESH database, and we can see here we have 24 results. So looking at smoking as a more broad term, but we can also see there's, specific types of smoking agents or substances and things like that. So if you were looking at a more specific substance, or maybe in this case, prevention or device, something like that, you could definitely select the more specific word or MESH term here. But they've got different types of substances here. So again, if you had a specific substance that you would like to look at, you can refine your search from this search page. But for today, I'm going to click this smoking just again to see kind of what's out there in a broad sense. So underneath the smoking, there is a definition of that term. This can be really helpful, especially to us as librarians, to me and Katie, because we're not really content specialists. We can help you find the research you're looking for, put together some keywords that make sense. But when it comes to really like analyzing and having that subject knowledge, we don't always have that. We're kind of a jack of all trades. But if we, again, not really a content specialist. So if we scroll down a little bit more, we can see some other keywords here. And these are just also helpful. These are search terms that other folks have used and searched for in the MESH database that have brought them here. And so this is just helpful to see the definition of that term to make sure you're on the right path and you're on the right track. It even is helpful if you're starting a new research topic and you're like, is this term totally right? That scope note can be really helpful. So if we scroll down just a little bit more, we can see there's a couple other smoking MESH terms that we could look at. And then these MESH trees. I think these are really helpful because they start very broad and then they get more specific as you move down the tree. So all of them are hyperlinked. You can see I'm hovering my mouse over them. So if one of these is more accurate to your search, you can definitely select it from here. But it is nice to know this acts as an umbrella. So when I'm searching just smoking, it will search for everything underneath it. So just remember that when you're looking at something very broad, it will still encompass all of the MESH terms below. So if we scroll back up to the top here, now I'm going to add this to my search box and search PubMed with this term. So I'm going to select this button that says Add to Search Builder. What that does is it takes that MESH term for me, throws those quotation marks around it, and then that MESH bracket that we had seen in our advanced search before. So this is telling PubMed, I want you to find every article in PubMed that has smoking as a MESH term attached to the article. What I like to do after this is type or, and then I'm going to retype that keyword or that MESH term as a keyword, excuse me. And this feels a little repetitive. I promise you there is a method to the madness here. This is actually now searching in two different fields. So before, when we had looked in that advanced search and it had the mesh bracket and the all fields bracket, this is now going to have the mesh bracket. Again, find me every article with smoking as a mesh term, or find me every article that has smoking as a keyword in the title or abstract. So now we're looking at three different fields: the mesh field, the title field, and the abstract field. Or is one of the three Boolean operators in searching. So the three operators are and, or, and not. In this case, we're going to use or because we use or when we're looking at similar concepts. I like to think of using or as more. The more like terms that you can string together, or synonyms, similar concepts, things like that, the larger set of results you'll get. My favorite example to use of this is the population of teenagers. So in the mesh database, the teenage population, their mesh term is adolescent, which, if you work with teenagers, maybe you're a high school teacher, something like that, you're probably not saying like, oh, I teach adolescents, or, oh, something like that. You're probably saying, I teach teens, I teach teenagers, young adults, whatever it may be. So in that case, you could do the adolescent mesh, or teen, or teenager, or teen girl, or teen boy, or young adult, anything that really captures that population or that concept. In this case, not that many other ways to say smoking. If you wanted to include some of these, smoking habits, smoking behaviors, that's where you would use or. You wouldn't want to look at smoking and smoking behaviors because that would really limit that search. So really anything that's of a similar concept, you would like to use, or you should be using or. So what I'm going to do at this point is click the button here that says Search PubMed. So this will bring us back into the PubMed that you're more familiar with. And this is going to bring in a lot of results, but that's okay because again, this is just one piece to our puzzle here. And now we need to go back to the mesh database and select the location, which is now Indonesia. So I'm going to go back to that PubMed homepage, and by clicking the PubMed logo, back to that Explore area and Mesh Database. So really any research question that you have, as long as you start to get in this practice of, kind of breaking out which concepts you want to look at, building them line by line, and then adding them together with and, it really works for any research question that you have. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in that next piece of my puzzle, which is Indonesia. So not surprisingly, this set of search results is much smaller. Before, when we were looking at smoking, there were many different agents, preventative things, and also different substances. In this case, Indonesia is, one geographic area. So there won't be as many mesh terms for that. So if we look here, we can see again that that note. We can also see all of the other kind of ways that you could say Indonesia. These could be, the local people that live in Indonesia might call it one thing. It's really up to you what you'd like to include here. You can include everything. You could just include Indonesia. It's really up to you as the researcher. But again, if we look at those mesh terms here and those trees, we can see this falls on two trees underneath Southeastern Asia, as well as geographic locations and islands. So it's just kind of interesting to see where these fall. So I'm going to do that same thing I did before in the smoking mesh term, which is add to search builder. And then I'm going to type or Indonesia here. I'm going to click search PubMed. And again, a lot of results, but that's okay. Because now, for me and Katie, this is the fun part when you get to add everything together with and. So again, and is one of those Boolean operators that you're going to use in searching when you want to combine two different concepts. So I'm going to click that advanced search once again. And if you haven't already started to get the inkling, the advanced search in PubMed is about to be a very good friend of yours. So again, we can see those last 8 hours worth of searching. What I want to do at this point is click on these three dots, the smoking mesh or smoking. And I'm going to select the option that says add query. So what that does is it takes that search that I've already done and it pops it up here in this box so I can search it again. And now I want to add this next piece with and. So again, I'll click those actions, 3 dots, and now you can see I have a few more options. So this is where I'm going to select add with and you can see what PubMed does is it takes both of those searches and it throws parentheses around it and puts an and in the middle. So this is a really like visual way to see, okay, smoking is my first concept and Indonesia is my second concept. So you can kind of help to differentiate those two concepts that you want to look at. And then and is the right operator to use because again, you want to use and with two different concepts. So I'm going to click search. And so now we still have a decent amount of results, but definitely less than we had before. And so a couple of things you can do at this point. This may feel like there's still too many results here. So you might start to think, okay, looking at smoking, maybe I'm more interested in tobacco smoking. So you can click on, maybe this article right here looked really interesting to you. And you thought, maybe to narrow my search down, I should pick a specific substance to really hone that question in and look at in more depth. So let's go on and click tobacco. So really quick, in this particular article, we can see the journal that this was published in. We can see the publication date and all of that information on like the DOI and how that identifier. We can see the title, the authors. So it's nice if you keep seeing a particular author in this area of research and want to see the other articles and things that they publish, you can click on their name and you can see the other articles that they've written. Over here on that full text link, we can see there's actually a few ways that you can access this particular article. So since we went through the library homepage and we're on that easy proxy, this Find at BU button shows up, which is great. This will bring you over to the library catalog. So let me really quick just open that in a new tab so you can see what that looks like. Yeah, so we actually have a couple of different ways that you can see and read this article with the online access available. So that's a really great option. This is a really, a really good article to show because there's a couple of ways you can access it. This link right here, this free full text PMC stands for PubMed Central, and PubMed Central is a repository of full text that PubMed has in the database. So this is a really great opportunity, when you leave BU and you don't have access to a bunch of journals and packages and things that you have access to here at BU, PubMed Central is a really great place to access full text when you don't necessarily have that institutional access anymore. And that database and repository is always growing and they're always adding more full text. And then this particular one is a journal that also has open access. So any kind of open access article is going to be helpful for you now and also when you do leave BU because you'll be able to grab that full text. If we scroll down a little bit more, we can see similar articles. So in this case, similar articles are going to look at articles that may have similar topics or similar mesh terms. And then if we scroll down a little bit more, we can see cited by. This is a newer feature in PubMed, and it's really great because it'll show you newer papers that cite the one that you're currently looking at. So the paper that we're looking at right now was published in 2020, I believe. Let me just double check on that. Yeah, 2020. So it looks as though in the last 4 years, there's been a lot of research in this area. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There may even be, actually, let's see now. We can see there's been at least 12 that you can access here in PubMed, 12 newer papers that cite the one we're looking at. So that can be another really great way to find articles that are relevant for your research to see, although 2020 was only 4 years ago, let's just say this particular paper was from 2013, just outside of that, the last 10 years, you may want to see what newer papers have cited this research. Maybe there's, a new perspective. Maybe there's, there's been a lot of things that have happened over the past 10 years. So how has that kind of played into the new publication? Definitely something that you can do. We call that citation searching. Honestly, I think it can be very fun to kind of find a resource and look and see who has cited it. And you can fall down a bit of a rabbit hole, but it's definitely a valid way to find resources and find articles as well. And the last thing I want to show you on this particular page is the mesh terms. So in this case, this particular paper has a decent amount of mesh terms attached to it. And that could be for a variety of reasons. They may be looking at, it looks like they're looking at a couple of different types of diseases. So they're looking at, heart disease, cancer, a bunch of things that, may happen if you are a smoker. But what we see here at the bottom is they also have tobacco smoking. So I know when we had done our original search in the mesh database and we had seen smoking and all of the other substances that were there, originally we went with just smoking as our mesh term. But what we could do is we could update our search to include tobacco smoking because maybe we really want to refine that search. So what you can do here, and I love this feature, you can select this little triangle and you can do a couple of things. You can search for that mesh term in the greater PubMed, or you can go back to the mesh database. And what's nice about this is, again, you can just read that scope note, you can get all of those details and just make sure that this is the term you want to use. So in this case, what I might want to do is update that smoking bit of, or that string that I had before to look at tobacco smoking in Indonesia and maybe see if that helps to refine my search. So what I'll do in this case is do add to search builder. It will populate that mesh bracket. And then again, I will do or tobacco smoking as a keyword. And one thing just to note is including those quotation marks around tobacco smoking is really important in PubMed because if you leave those out, PubMed will search for tobacco and smoking, which, again, it's not too far out. But sometimes if we're doing something a little more broad, like maybe community health program or something, and you leave out those quotation marks, it will search for community and health and program. So when you take all of those words separately, they could be applied in many ways and just might bring your search out of scope. So anytime you can use quotation marks to keep those free or that word or phrase together. So what I'll do is, again, I'm going to do that search PubMed. I still get a lot of results here, but now what I want to do is update that search that we just did. I'm going to go back to that advanced search. And I'm going to select the tobacco smoking. I'll do add query like we had done before, pop it up into that query box. And now I'm going to do the Indonesia. So instead of just smoking, now I'm going to look at tobacco smoking and Indonesia. So same thing. Now we're just using a different mesh term, but I really wanted to show kind of how you can use mesh terms to, do a broad search and also refine that search as well. So if we click search here, now we can see we have 58 results. So that's much easier to look through because again, you're refining that search by focusing in on tobacco smoking as opposed to just general smoking. And that brings it down from, I believe it was in like the 900, something like that. So definitely a lot easier to sift through. Just a couple of filters to point out really quick. They do have the publication date range as well. So this can be helpful to see, how many papers were published in certain years. You can also scroll down if you wanted to look at maybe the free full text from PubMed Central or one of the open access journals that's indexed in PubMed. You can also look at article type. So again, if you had a specific, you maybe just wanted some background information or to see what other folks were saying about tobacco smoking, you could look at reviews. If you're looking for original research, you could look at RCTs, clinical trials, things like that. You could also look and click one of these publication years. I know sometimes people really just want to look at the last 5 years. You can do that pretty quickly. And then another thing that's really great is this additional filters. So PubMed used to have all of these filters on the side and they cleaned it up a few years back, but they do have a lot of other article types that you can select. So if you look, maybe you wanted to look at, let's see if they have, a guideline, for instance, maybe you want to look at something like that. Maybe I don't know if technical report would really work for this particular topic, but you can definitely select different article types that you want to take a look at. They have species, article language, sex, age. This is a really interesting filter too. If maybe, you wanted to look at tobacco smoking in Indonesia, but maybe you wanted to look at young adults. Maybe that's a population you really hone in on. You could always select young adults, which is that 19 to 24 age. Or maybe just adults in general. So, let's just look at adults. Because again, we have 58 results. I don't want to really limit too much. So let's try and see what we get with adults. So if we click adults, we're going to click show. And then what we have to do is we do have to select it again over here on the side. So that cut our results in about half. So that's another thing you can do if you had a lot of results and you want to bring that number down, or maybe you have a specific demographic or population that you want to search for and learn more about. One thing to note about these filters is they will follow you. So even if you leave and do a search on something completely different, it will stay on until you click this clear all. So I know that that was a lot of information, a lot of PubMed, but I'd love to open up and ask, if anyone has questions, but that's pretty much what we have for you today.
Thank you so much, Kristen. This is fantastic.
course.
And thank you, Katie, for doing the live chat, answering questions as we go. That was fantastic. Does anybody have any questions? This is your opportunity. Of course, you have more opportunities. You can get in touch with Kristen, and you can also email just the library in general. And there is somebody who is unmuted. Please mute. I can't. Hi.
Hi, a quick question. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, of course.
As we're going through, I know you mentioned to save the sources on the side on your own doc, but I did see like a cite button. Does that link to one of the citation platforms one of my teachers was mentioning that you guys recommend, or is there a best way to kind of cite go in a certain format? Thanks.
Was that, where was that, on this page or on the search page?
I don't remember. I didn't.
So there's a couple things you can do for citing. So if you look at this search, let's say, I want to look at all 58 of these results. I don't have time right now, but I want to put them in a Zotero, let's say, and, so I can go at my own time and see, screen through them, see what's out there. And this search is, exactly what I'm looking for. You can send to Citation Manager. So in this case, you're going to want to select all results. So it will get all of the 58 results. You'll create a file and it will download to your downloads. It will download in this NBIB or RIS file, which you can then go into Zotero or Mendeley or whatever citation manager that you choose, and you can import that file. So the great thing about doing it here on our Easy Proxy and creating a account in Zotero, let's say with your BU email, is that it will work very hard to pull in any available PDF for you. So Zotero, for instance, is a really great resource because it allows you to read the full text in there. If BU can pull the PDF for you, you can mark it up, you can leave notes, sticky notes, highlight, you can do, a lot in there. And we can definitely look more at that next week. But definitely a great way. You can also just cite, for instance, an article here.
That was the button. Yep.
Yeah. So, if you just were looking at, for an assignment, maybe citing one or two things, you could definitely do this. But for a bigger project or research paper, this could be difficult to do. And, Zotero just might be an easier way to organize everything for you. But this is definitely another thing you can do if you, wanted to do APA. You can copy it, you can download it, whatever you need to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Any other last questions? And this isn't your last opportunity. You can get in touch with Kristen and the librarians, but for a quick question right now, this is a good opportunity.
Yeah, and we have so many other databases too. I felt for the time that we had today, PubMed is, a really good jumping off point, but we do have some other databases that, depending on your research question, we might bring you to. So definitely explore the public health portal page and reach out to us with any questions you have. We're more than happy to walk you through the databases, the other ones, or even do a PubMed search with your topic. But yeah, we're really here to help with any of those things, get you set up with Zotero. So just let us know.
Thank you so much, Kristen.
Yeah.
This has been fantastic. And so everyone, the recording will be available soon. So we'll put it on the Public Health Writing Resource Center page, which is here on the library website. We'll also put it on the SPH Public Health Writing page, and I will be sharing it with your core instructors and asking them to put it on Blackboard. So it will be available shortly in lots of different places. So thank you very much, everyone. And I hope that we'll see you next week for the workshop on paraphrasing and citing your sources.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.